and stream live now. Social Therapy with Dr. Brother Suave, the podcast, is now being broadcast on NPN Voice. NPN Voice can be found on Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, SoundCloud, and now on Audible and Amazon Music, and anywhere you listen to your favorite podcast. Social Therapy with Dr. Brother Suave, the podcast, now on NPN Voice. NPN Voice. Got voice. You heard?
Suave afternoon, Suave afternoon, Suave afternoon. This is Brother Suave, your mind-blowing, thought-provoking, and eye-opening on-air personality, life coach, psychotherapist, author, and creator. Hope you guys having a suaveless day.
Yeah, and with that, let's commence to pay. Okay, I'm so suavelous, you so suavelous. Together we can fix the trauma that's befallen us. Divine social interactions remains marvelous. Mind-blowing, suavelicious talk, higher consciousness. But think, let not your hearts be troubled. Dr. Brother Suave, divine light give you double.
Greetings, this is Dr. Brother Suave, your mind-blowing, thought-provoking, and eye-opening on-air personality, life coach, psychotherapist, author, creator, divine social therapist, and host of Social Therapy with Dr. Brother Suave. I'm back. Hey, listen, I'm so back, man. I've been out on my little celebrating my birth month and just really enjoying myself and having me a nice suavecation and suave laxing. Yes. You know, sometimes you need to just take some time and love yourself some you. Put you first because you got one heart, one life, and one soul, and you got to protect it at all costs. Listen, you only free when you stop worrying about what other people believe. You know, so listen, I'm just happy. I'm happy on this beautiful, May 3rd, 2023. I'm just so happy. I'm blessed. Thank God for waking me up to see another day that I never seen before. Thank God for allowing me see another day to get it right. Just another day to just tell my friends and family I love them and I love you guys. It's just a wonderful blessing just to wake up, man. I'm telling you, I'm so happy. I just had to take some time out, man. I just really, really needed some time to celebrate and unwind and just, self-care. I sell my shirts. I always talk about self-love, and how I talk is how I walk. I'm going to give myself some time for me and to enjoy myself. I got one life to live and I'm going to live it. And I'm not going to worry about what other people think. And I'm going to be unapologetic about it because, again, so many people struggle with codependency. So many people struggle with self-care and self-love. Oh, my God. But no, not Dr. Brother Suave. I love myself some me. So I want to just give a special shout out to Brother Wally, my mentor. He held it down for the month of April. And I also want to give a special shout out to the success architect, man, my frat brother, my ace, man, dude. We was born on the same day, man, at the same hospital and part of the same fraternity. Man, you can't get no better than that, So I just want to give a very special shout out to my producer and Brother Wally. Thank you guys for holding it down while I was in my absence. And so, today we're going to be talking about some hot topics. I'm talking about hot, and y'all know how I am. I say some things, again, it's mind-blowing, thought-provoking, and eye-opening experience, and I say some things. So the topic tonight is hot. This is going to sometimes hurt people's feelings. But again, we're talking about truth. We're talking about things that need to be addressed, things that we are constantly being silent about. So the topic is hurt people. But people are communities, and our communities is definitely hurt at this point in time. So tonight, I'm just going to discuss order and structure. Has it been removed? Because it seems to be so resented at this point, and so has it been removed from our lives, ultimately creating this major shift in life, love, and perspectives. Because I've seen our perspectives and things are just seen and switched and changed, and I'm like, where they do that at? What universe they do that? What culture? What community? But it seems like here in our community, it's some struggling stuff going on. And so I would like to address it. And anybody know me, I'm definitely not afraid to address issues, talk about things, and we have to be able to address these issues. And so hopefully we can get something accomplished tonight. So my question is, how is this stuff working out? This resentment for order and structure, how is it working out? Is this shift hurting or helping our community? Is it hurting or helping our community? I'm really curious as what's going on in our communities. Is it helping our families? Is it developing our lives, or what? Because I'm just asking because I really want to know. Because for the past couple of months, could have been longer than that, you're seeing a lot of posts. I've read these posts. I responded to them. I even posted some myself, but I can see the pain because I can observe it. I see it. I can see the pain. I can see all the struggles. I can see the frustrations. And so it seems that so many are experiencing all this pain and hurt. Like I say, hurt people hurt people. But what I'm seeing is a lot of people are refusing to address this pain and taking ownership. Man, ownership, it seems like it's like the lie is the new truth. This is the crazy thing. The lie is the new truth. And it's funny because it's like people are getting super offended when you talk the truth. They're super offended when they're being held accountable. And they instantly go right on attack mode. And you're like, what do they do that at? Because nobody wants to address these issues. They want to go ahead and continue to pretend that they're not hurt. They want to pretend they're happy. They want to pretend they're a boss. They want to pretend all this stuff. And these people resent order. They resent structure. But you know what? But guess what? They want love. They want relationships. They want marriages. They want commitments. However, so many are so hurt, they become combative. And so instead of trying to pursue some healing, some understanding, they just mask their pain and act out like little children. And the sad thing is they can't even see how counterproductive that mentality is. And even the ones who can see it, their egos are so big and they lack humility. And so what they do is just fight. That's what they do. You can see it in their interactions, man. It was you could just tell hurt people. I was just in a post office the other day, and I was just mailing out some books, a whole bunch of orders. And this is the thing I'm telling you, this dynamic between our men and our women in our community, it's just obvious. There's a lot of pain and resentment, and they're dealing with so much pain. And in order for people to empathize and understand, they got to change their attitude and their demeanor and communicate, because nobody's going to sit there and empathize and try to empathize and understand what you're going through when you're always on this gorilla mode, always angry, And the sad thing, people always using this saying, what you say is how you say it. Well, guess what? It ain't what you say all the time, it's how you act. Maybe I want to adapt that Suave philosophy. So anyway, like I said, I was at the post office, and so it was a lady at the post office. She was just talking to the lady in front of her, being extremely courteous. And then she said, "Well, have a good day." Then the other lady who was in front of me, said, "Hey, how you doing? May I help you?" And she was all smiling, showing all kind of teeth, like we used to say back in the day in Miami, and showing all those teeth. And so, nevertheless, she was all polite. She was asking anything I need, anything you need, this, you need that. And then she said, "Okay, well, have a great day." Once the lady said no. And so you see, I'm smiling. So that's how she was. And as soon as the lady walked off, she went like this. See, that's obvious. That's some eternal stuff going on. And I'm telling you, that's some hatred. That's some stuff, some resentment. That's some stuff. Because I didn't know, how did it switch from like, just like that. Didn't say a word. Didn't say good morning. Didn't say hi. Can I help you? Nothing. And so I did like this. Um, I just want to mail out these books and stuff like that, but I want to get a price check on what will be the best and most efficient way, and at least expensive to get these books sent out, because the prices are constantly changing, on my shipping and handling. It could be, I have it sometimes set at 250, then I go to 5 because it was at 250, 212 one time, then it went all the way to 495. And I'm like, it's constantly changing. So anyway, I was just trying to get some answers. So she was like, get this face, and then she's like, then she went over it. She barely said anything, and then she just started doing it, putting it in. And you know how sometimes you have to mash the button yes or no if you have anything liquid in there? Before I can even mash it, she already went to the next one, and then went to the next one, and so on and so forth. And so again, she saw my body language, so she went back, and again, she didn't want to say anything. She used body language, and I'm like, and she did the same thing, wouldn't say anything to me. And so I finished it, I paid for it, and she said, anything else? And she got the receipt, circled it, didn't say bye, didn't say have a good day. Again, these people hurt people, hurt people. So for whatever reason, this is what I'm saying. People act like people don't see this. And a lot of times, when we're trying to improve the dynamics between this toxic interaction between Black men and Black women, oh my God, it's just insane. And the unfortunate thing is that you have people who are pessimistic and saying some things in a way, but what about the people who are trying to bring it to your attention and hold you accountable? And it's almost any and every time it's addressed, there is some form of rebellion, retaliation, just acting out and just being so disrespectful. We're not here to fight you. We're just trying to bring some empowerment, some change to help you be aware. The world's not making up these things about you and your behavior. And every time we try to address, the first thing is saying, that's not true. Or what about y'all? Who's raising us? You ever thought of that? But again, we're just trying to address these issues. So it's just so many people out there that really hate. And I didn't say dislike. I didn't say feel uncomfortable. I said hate the truth. And you can see it in their actions, their behaviors, and how they're constantly acting out. And it's just ridiculous. And I just hope that we're going to get to a point that we can confront this, because if we don't address it, as I say, my patients and clients, friends, associates, and family members, anything going unaddressed progressively gets worse. We have to know that. Anything. It could be mental health. It could be physical health. It could be finances. It could be grass. It could be substance abuse. Anything going unaddressed progressively gets worse. And we got to understand this. Because these people, when you try to talk to them, you try to bring it to them and talk about the truth, they hate you for it. They confront you with it. And there's always hell to pay because there's always some form of retaliation. And again, these people seem to be so angry when someone is attempting to just gain some clarity, for God's sake. They come up, and try to come up with some solution. It's something I'm going to address later, but it's going towards the end. But again, when people just trying to come up with some solution, just trying to get some clarity, they immediately under attack. And it seems like there is no consideration. If the person is an expert, there is no consideration that just see if the information is valid. There is no consideration to see if this person got facts, numbers, and statistics. No, it's just ongoing over talking, disrespecting, and ongoing interrupting. Or this famous thing, whatever. And then this is what I mean. The shutdown. You just can't have a diplomatic relationship. Conversation. And we acting like there is this attack on our women. It's not. We just want to help you understand that there are some people who can have decent conversations with you, come up with some facts, and come up with some resolutions. And unfortunately, when you have a history of these toxic relationships, a history of deadbeats, a history of sorry people, your perception that everybody's the same. And the reality is, I can empathize with when you saying you seeing this all the time or experiencing all the time, but also look at the level of the person you engaging with. Pay attention to those things. And unfortunately, there's always, I'm sorry, there's consistently interaction and coupling with someone who's not on your level spiritually, intellectually, socially, developmentally. And you wonder why you in these same patterns. Like I say, when I'm speaking from a social, spiritual, and clinical perspective. I'm gonna say it almost in every show. So if you're dealing with people who are not equally yoked with you in those three areas, what do you think the possibility or probability is going to happen for you in the outcome? But you're not taking ownership. You're sitting there thinking, oh, all these guys, all these dudes, all these men. It's a big difference. As I say in every show, as much as possible, it's the difference between a man, a grown boy, and an adult male. But until you realize that, you will continue to make these mistakes. You'll continue to be bitter, and you'll continue to be angry, and you'll continue to not take ownership. And guess what? You'll constantly be speaking negative to yourself and to others, and it will not be any change, and you'll feel validated because you're not watching what you say. You're not watching what's coming out your mouth. You're not paying attention to that mentality, and it's a toxic one. And I personally believe, outside of me being a professional, that I always say, who's raising these people? But I also understand, again, those generational curses. Those generational curses play a major part. And a lot of times, the very person who are toxic and angry and upset, they're being raised by a person who's angry, toxic, and upset. Again, I said from the beginning, hurt people. And the society is filled with people. And it's obviously our community is really, really hurt. And we have to get a chance to really do something about this and address it. And we got to understand these generational curses. They're real. They are really real. And so what I'm going to do is I want to just talk about like some people experiencing orders in the family, like dealing with leadership. Now, I know I may be old school in terms of this perspective, but there's one thing that I believe: order is never obsolete. I don't think it's outdated. I don't think structure is outdated, played out, any of that stuff. So, and so when it comes to order in the family and dealing with leadership, trying to identify what order and structure and respect in family, and I'm talking about way back in the days that I would think should be effective now, since all this information we have, you can gain access to how the world operates, the universe operates, the culture operates, the city, the states, and all those things, and see how sometimes far off we're off on values, principles, and morality. So, so I remember, just basic universal history and stuff like that. Don't quote me on everything, but again, it was couples. It used to be like the husband, the wife, and the kids. People saw families that were intact in a lot of different cultures. And we see that. We go to the store, you see a lot of families intact in that order. But sometimes, you will see the other way, as I would say, you have the mothers, the children, and maybe their girlfriends or whatever, and that's what they do is change things, and I guess trying to operate in the best way they can. And but the thing is it's not by design. It's a lot of times a result of poor decision making and not honoring your so-called principles of morality, or especially some people who are Christians, Muslims, or whatever your religious philosophy is. These things are contrary to those things that you're living, and so people will say, "Well, I don't want to be," lying, just a lie. You heard lie. I don't think it's even normal for anybody to say, "I want to live by myself." I don't want to be coupled. I don't want to be married. I'm happy my daddy wasn't in my life. I'm happy my mom wasn't in my life. Um, I'm glad I'm single. I'm glad I'm dying by myself. Lies, just lies, and the truth is not in them. But what happens is things happen. But these people around here, like, oh, happy, I'm celebrating being single, or I'm celebrating being divorced. Yes, that would be something if it's toxic and crazy, and you're trying to really. But the reality is, that's painful. That's painful. It's traumatic. It has people feeling all kinds of ways: depression, suicidal ideations, and all that. But because sometimes we end up coupling with the wrong person, and then we stay bitter, and the relationship ends terribly. But nobody can sit there and say they want this to happen. People want to be happy. They want to be loved. They want to be respected. They want to be in relationships. But because people are saying things and overcompensating and just saying something, these people are lies. Like I said, lie. They may have learned to accept it, but they can say, I accept it. It wasn't how I wanted to turn out, but it is what it is. These people have a whole different attitude, and because they're hurt and they want to hurt people and they want to mask their pain. But we all know, like I said, lies. And so again, back to and a lot of times people don't see healthy, functioning, respectful, loving, and nurturing relationships. They don't see the relationships filled with order, because as much as so many people are in church every week, every month, every year, are they learning? Because they're struggling with these basic things. They're in church, and every time you turn around, someone's having a child out of wedlock and celebrating it. But they're in church every week, violating the moral principles, values, principles, religious philosophies, and principles. I'm like, well, what you going for? You're not seeing any deviation in their toxic ways, their respect. Somebody make them mad, they're asking God to punish and destroy their enemies. Like, that is not God's creation. That is so freaking crazy. And it's bananas. And so a lot of times people are not seeing these things because we are so out of order. And we just like, hey, let me just modify and do what I want, the way I want to do it. And so we're not seeing these functioning, respectful relationships. We're not seeing how, like the boy, a long time ago, they would see the boy who becomes a man, and then he gets engaged. Then he becomes a husband. Then he becomes a father. Same thing with the girls. The girls she's a girl. She becomes a woman. She gets engaged. She then becomes a wife, and then she becomes a mother. But because we are so carnal-minded and so backwards, we're a girl, and instantly we think we're a woman. We're a boy. We instantly think we're a man. Nobody taught you how to be a man. You didn't pay your dues, because you got to pay your dues to get them stripes. Next thing you know, you have the child. You do all this stuff and have children after children with all these different people. Then you decide to maybe get some education, a career, and then get married. Just backwards. And I'm not knocking somebody who's trying to better their lives, but it's just showing you can better your life by starting off with order and structure. Get some mentors. You pray, but pray to break those generational curses. Pray to break out that carnal mind. Pray to just try to get your mind straight. And again, you have a prayer and faith, but you got to do the work. And that comes in disciplining yourself and try to do things in order. But again, the family was generally led again by the father, because he was a provider, he was responsible, he was a protector, he was a leader, and he had leadership skills. He had things in order. He had the house, he had the security. He would go touch base with the other parents, asking for hands in marriage, all those things. He would build a foundation, and do what he needed to do to earn that for JJ, to earn her. But they giving it away like they're giving away candy, man. I definitely had my time, and I used to sit there. I mean, I have my real long history of womanizing. I used to sit there like, jumping Jehoshaphat, you giving it away? Had I not just broke it down, say, hey, you're like, oh wow. It's just what I'm saying. And then they want to cry about their circumstances and whine about this and whine about that, but just ongoing making poor decisions and don't think it's some consequences to them. It's going to be some consequences. And I think people need to be mindful of that. And what I'm going to do is, because I didn't even realize what time it is, I'm going to just take a quick commercial break, and I'll be right back after our station identification, okay?
We're shining bright, and we're shining the light on us like no other. Neighborhood Planet, our neighborhood, our world.
Back with Social Therapy with Dr. Brother Suave. Tonight's topic, we're talking about hurt people, and people are communities, and our community is definitely hurting at this moment. So again, as I left off, oh, by the way, sorry I didn't bring it up at the beginning of the broadcast. This is Mental Health Awareness Month, and again, I guess it connects because a lot of times this is obviously some mental health issues. Again, we don't want to discuss it, dealing with anger, resentment, toxic behaviors, mentalities, and so on and so forth. And also, anybody know me, I'm a Black man advocate, because I'm going to say things. I'm going to root for Black men. I'm a Black man. I had Black men in my life were instrumental in me becoming the man I became today. Not sitting there saying anybody who didn't have those in life, but it was imperative because having struggles myself and just doing things that weren't necessarily the best decisions. But thank God I had men in my life to redirect me, hold me accountable, and put me in check. And I was able to embrace that man energy. And unfortunately, because again, so many males are having male energy, they have a real issue when men are addressing them. They can be cursed out, yelled at, called a whole bunch of names with female toxic masculinity. But when a man comes in an assertive way, hold him accountable, oh my God, It's almost like you would think that dude punched that kid in the head. But again, that's probably another story. Again, so I was talking about when we saw these orders structure, the husband, the wife instructions. Yeah, that's not everybody's story. So please don't get it twisted. I know that's not everyone's story, and there's always an exception to the rules. But what point did this happen? That this shift changed so drastically that we just have all these houses 70%, 75%. A pie is 100%. You take out the 10%, that was acceptable, 10% in the church, 10% tip, 10% this and that. But now, and that was the exception to single parents based on divorces, maybe based on death in the family or whatever, and the leader, the man was taken out of the family based on, I guess, welfare system or whatever. But darn, it's the probability you meeting somebody who come out of a stable household or a household with a father and a mother and some balance in there, freaking under just at about the 20, 21, 22%. That's ridiculous. So that means all this, and you wonder where this switch comes from and why people think the way they think and why so many people are hurt. This is what I'm saying. When did we get to this point? It's a great percentage. So when you meet someone, and this is what I can say when I try to explain to ladies, I say, I can understand. But you got to realize when you say, oh, y'all men, no, all of us are males. And I say that in all the shows, we are males. And a lot of us are grown boys, and many of us are adult males, but it's a man. And so when you have a man, has mom and dad, family structure, order, grandma and granddad, those things you can identify. So when you start to act a certain way, you have that man and that village will come and check you. But these days, the high probability that you're going to run to a dude who haven't had that structure. It's going back to the jails, incarceration, and the statistics and all these things show. But 90%, more women get the custody, and this is why we got this vicious cycle, and it's from a social perspective, and it goes on and on. And again, things happen. It happens, and we all know. And again, we all know that this is not a perfect world, not a perfect life, and this is not what we're saying. But we do have as God granted us free will, we have a great influence on the outcomes in our life if we make better decisions. And we all make these bad decisions. Trust, I wrote a book about it. But you don't compound it by continuing to make poor decision after poor decision after poor decision. And this is the thing. This is why I came up with the term matriarchal household mentality. Everybody, the average black male, learns everything from a female perspective. And that includes some of that toxic mentality, some of that mentality of not respecting men, not respecting fathers, not understanding structure, not learning how to protect and provide. These are the things that's just really hurting our families. And trust, I don't think it's no conspiracy. I think it just, I don't think it's no conspiracy going against women. I don't think it's no conspiracy saying we hate you. No, it's just constant, ongoing poor decision making. Just, and it's coupled with this independent mindset. I don't need a man. We don't exist without each other at all. We need each other. We don't exist. So all these communities, I'm like, if you don't have a male, you don't have a female, you can't procreate. You need each other. And also, that's a biological perspective. But we need each other when a child comes out in this real world so they can learn from both. You can learn from the man, and you can learn from the woman. But we forget this. And then we sit there so independent and then make the same mistake over and over. And then next thing you know, you deprive the child because of your selfish agenda, your ignorant mentality, your toxic mentality, and you deprive a child of having an equal relationship with their father. And then you say, Oh, the father's not there. Oh, them grown boys who's irresponsible, who's unemployed, couldn't take care of themselves, and you became a Captain Saver, bro. Those, what do you think the probability is if you can't take care of yourself and be responsible, having some type of credentials or license or some type of stability or some type of skill? How on an HE hockey stick you think he's going to be responsible? How do you think that's going to turn out? Then you do it over and over. But again, you won't take responsibility. You say, all these men, they're not men, they're grown boys. And you have to learn to take responsibility. I'm sorry. You can't just constantly spend decade after decade blaming everybody. It's like, people always say it takes two to have a kid. Well, I love challenging social learning perspectives. You know what? It takes one. It's the one that makes a decision to give up their body. Because at the end of the day, you have to carry the child. And it's wonder why at one point, like, women had the highest case of AIDS, single parenting and not being married. There's no conspiracy against you. So some of the people who have some kickback and be angry with me, it doesn't matter, because it's no conspiracy. You keep making poor decisions. You're not making things better. And it's repeating yourself. It's repeating. And this is why it is the way it is. Because a dude who's sorry, who's irresponsible, who's a bum, he cannot get that with JJ without your authorization, your permission. He can't get in your house without your authorization, your permission. So as much as you want to blame them, you're making poor decisions. And the crazy thing is the fact that you're educated, you're a homeowner, you're doing well. Riddle me this. How on the HE hockey stick so many deadbeats and bums are getting with these successful women? Again, you don't want to talk about it, but a lot of this is some mental health issues, some codependency, some low self-esteem, some rationalization, and definitely some settling. But, I know it'll be an argument for that. I know you'll fight that. But the reality is numbers don't lie, and it's all across the country. So as much as you want to say these other people you're exploiting and exposing yourself, and that's why I say the puppet master is getting exposed, because we're in an information age, and a lot of people are finding out these things. Kids are not finding out who their parents are, holding them, creating these stories about the fathers, creating these stories like telling the kids that I was in a relationship, he abandoned you when you really was a side chick. Yeah. Children finding out. You won't tell them year in and year out who their father is. You create these stories that's not even true. Instead of just having integrity, say I was young, I made a mistake. No. You got to save face. You got to save face. And so I don't know. This is real bad. It's 70%, 75%. That's a lot to recover from. So again, when somebody's attempting to address these behaviors, try to be open-minded. When they're trying to talk about the truth, just remember, it's not an attack. It's not an attack, but I guess it would seem to be an attack when you don't want to take ownership. When you don't want to take ownership, it's going to seem like an attack. Or at least it's going to appear that way. So I'm not here to preach. I'm not going to preach. I don't know the particular verse in his Bible dealing with having issues with being corrected or redirected. And Proverbs, dealing with the book of wisdom and understanding, it talks about a fool rejects wisdom. When someone's trying to talk to you about something, trying to empower you, bring some perspectives and light to avoid these generational curses, avoid these patterns of repetition, avoid these circular causalities and all those things. It says the fool rejects wisdom. Reminds me, I put this in my head when Bernie Mac said, "You the dog," and I say to him, I said, "You the fool," because every time somebody trying to talk to you, You ready to fight. You on gorilla mode. You ready to fight. So again, it don't matter how you take it. You're a fool if you reject wisdom. When someone's trying to correct you, bring some attention, you always got to be so defensive. You the fool. And the truth is not in you. It doesn't matter. You have an issue. Everything dealing with correction, ownership, and accountability is always some fighting. When it's going to get to a point that you can just sit there and say, you know what? I see this. So what do you see? What's your recommendation? I heard you say this. I heard you say that. What do you think I can do? What do you see in me? No humility. None whatsoever. And again, if you find yourself fighting on everything, you're the problem. You are the problem. And so when people are just trying to give you some information ultimately that can change your life, here it is. Be quiet, shut up, and just listen and learn. Yes, for those toxic individuals, you don't tell me to be quiet. You don't tell me. Again, a fool rejects wisdom, because that's the time when you need to be quiet and try to listen. But you're so having a problem with correction. You always want to blurt out. You want to start interrupting. You don't want no one to say anything. Again, you're the problem. Because you always take anything as a literal attack. When I'm saying just be quiet, because you need to listen. You're missing some very important information that can change your life. But again, like I said, you're the problem. It's too many of our sisters that are struggling with this issue, and I can understand having issues trusting these dudes, grown boy adult males, because you keep dealing with those types. Your relationship resume proves that. You understand? It proves that. And I see you have a lot of times because of these relationships, because your history of poor decision making with grown boys and adult males is part of your relationship resume. That's what you deal with. So you thinking those are men, no, those grown boys, adult males. You're not dealing with people who are responsible. People are men. People are leaders. People are protectors and providers. And I wanted to let me find this thing. It was something that my cousin posted, and it was pretty cool. It was let me find it. It was dealing with some trust issues, and it says this. It says she doesn't have trust issues. She has learned lessons, and you're a mistake she promised to never make again. Amen. So that was something that was incredible. And so I was sitting there saying, yes, that was great, because you're supposed to learn from your mistakes. But these are the people who constantly make them all over and over. And then they justify it and say, I don't trust no end. I don't trust, because you keep making poor decisions. You keep doing this stuff over and over and over. So I expect you to have PTSD. I expect you to be traumatized from all this, because you keep making poor decisions. So your perception of healthy relationships and good people, you don't identify with. And this was great. And so I'm going to read what I responded to her. I said, yes, that's right. A lot of these women need to honor their discernment. God gave women a gift of discernment. But because you got these sometimes stubborn mentality, and you struggle with matters of the heart, you don't always make the best decisions. And you got to realize that. Understand your codependency. Understand you not honor your because a lot of times with us, it ain't even about discernment. You can see I ain't got nowhere to stay. You can see I ain't got no car, no transportation, no security, no nothing. Why in the H-E double hockey stick you coupling with me or giving me the time of day? Because you got codependency issues, you got issues of control, and you want to be the boss and brag about how great you do. But you're not dealing with somebody who's equally yoked. You're dealing with somebody who's spiritually, socially, intellectually, and developmentally beneath you. And all these dudes need to tell you what you want to hear let you control them, and you feel good about yourself. That's some dark love. Trust. So anyway, and as I said, that's right, cuz honor your discernment. That's one of God's gifts to women, but so many get caught up on matters of the heart and their feelings, which becomes a major issue for y'all. So you need to nurture those gifts that God gave you and be wise. And more importantly, protect your heart and obey the word. Stuff ain't that hard. Like I said, ain't no conspiracy. Millions and millions of women are experiencing the same situation, but they won't take ownership. Acting, being, and saying the same thing. Ain't no conspiracy. You're just making poor decisions. Like I say, you can see we ain't got nothing. It ain't that hard to see. But the crazy thing to me is this. It's so crazy that all these ladies with socioeconomic stability have all this. How in the heck the dude, because the guys are winning. You sit there, got all this, he has absolutely nothing, and guess what? He gets the bag. Told you. Self-esteem issue around here, putting on makeup, bragging, you're struggling, you're hurting inside. Because that don't even add up. It don't even add up to be, for you have this, he has nothing, and all these guys, we see it in our families, we see it with our friends, we see it in our own lives, we see how in the HE double hockey stick he has nothing and he's moving in with a few clothes he got. And guess what? A month or so, he telling you all these things, then he proposed to you. You know the numbers are low when you get married. So all he do is propose, and you finance the ring. You take the pictures, and you got your Johnson for every night. You got another dependent, somebody you taking care of, and you're lying and fabricating and fronting. Again, you lie, and the truth ain't in you. Again, people can see this, but you go ahead and continue, and then eventually you get sick and tired, and it's what they say, to the left, to the left, to the left, to the left. But guess what? He got his teeth fixed. He definitely got a lot of clothes that he didn't have. He got a car that you bought. Yeah. Like I said, ain't no conspiracy. Take ownership. You just making poor decisions. And so this last point I just want to make is I post something on it a while back, and sometimes, like, again, people have a problem with it, but it don't matter. Truth sets you free. So, like I say, no matter where you go in, any cultures around the world, universe, everything, the natural nature of a man is to be a leader, protect a provider, and to cover his family. So I want to know, when has a man natural nature to be a leader, to protect and provide and cover, become toxic? Pardon the language, but I'm seeing some penis envy going on. Yeah, think about it. Because I'm seeing it, because it seems that when a man is in his natural state of being masculine and operating as a leader of his community and his family, it's perceived as toxic. However, any and every way you look with same-sex couples, the one who operates in a more masculine manner, who is normally the leader, the one who's a protector, the one who's a provider, the one who operates in that masculine role, is basically copying the man at his organic and natural state. But guess what? It's accepted. Told you, man, we out of order. We done some things that's so crazy. And so, like I said, something is going on here, and I think we need to openly address it. You know, I think we really, really do. It is what it is. People got a problem with it. Maybe you need to reevaluate your priorities. Maybe you need to reevaluate your morals. Maybe you need to reevaluate your value system. I think that's it, because it's definitely some penis envy. It's definitely some stuff that's going on, because what I do naturally, it's toxic. But what you do unnaturally is accepted, because you doing everything I do. You're trying to shave. You're cutting off your breasts. You're trying to get work. You're doing a hormone injections, try to have a heavy voice. Doing all these things, but you resent me so much. Told you something going on. Yep, something is absolutely going on. But again, maybe you're in denial. You know, I always say denial is a terrible disease, because one thing about the disease of denial, you don't realize you got it. So I hope you got something out of this. I hope that you tell your friends, about this broadcast. You can see it again on YouTube. Dr. Brother Suave. You see it on YouTube. This has been a moment, and I just really want you to understand it's not an attack. So continue to support. You can cash out if you think you learned something on $SUAVERWALKER. Tell your friends and family. Join us every Wednesday night at 8:30 p.m. on NPN TV. And listen, always remember, when I say it, I mean it. And I'm saying it as an attack, but I just hope that you just learn to take yourself, put yourself in a better situation, a mindset. Go see a therapist. Go ahead and talk about your trauma. Talk about your early childhood. Talk about the things you've been going on. Think about those irrational thoughts. So there's been Social Therapy with Dr. Brother Suave. And just remember, I love you and I mean it. Bye-bye.
Tune in and stream live now. Social Therapy with Dr. Brother Suave, the podcast, is now being broadcast on NPN Voice. NPN Voice can be found on Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, SoundCloud, and now on Audible and Amazon Music, and anywhere you listen to your favorite podcast. Social Therapy with Dr. Brother Suave, the podcast, now on NPN Voice. NPN Voice. Got voice. You heard? This program was made possible by Neighborhood Planet Broadcasting Systems, Neighborhood Planet Network, and from contributions to NPN TV from viewers like you.